bunch of people ask me how I was able to add all those graffitis into my game, and specifically why they look so real. And the reason is that I'm using actually Hong Kong graffitis. So I'm wanted to do a video to show you how I do that using free tools on the internet. It's amazing what you can do with free tools. So the first step is you just use Google Hong Kong graffiti. You just Google that, and then you go in images. Here are some cool Hong Kong graffitis. I'm particularly interested since my game is a dystopian cyberpunk city builder. I'm looking forward to have some, protest and crazy stuff, and I really like this one. So, how do I turn this into the game? Well, for the game, for the texturing of my game, I'm using Substance Painter. And the way that I'm doing this, if you've seen my other videos, is that I have squared white on transparent PNG, and I'm using that as an alpha mask. So how do we turn this into a transparent white PNG alpha mask? And so that's basically what you need to do to have it in the game. And so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start here, and I'm gonna take a screenshot with my Mac. So it's Shift Command 4, and now I can drag around to grab a screenshot. If you're on Windows, you can just save this image. Works either way. I'm just taking a screenshot because it's faster. I don't need like this bottom part and this top part, so I'm just cutting it out with a screenshot. And then I'm going to this website. So it's called RemoveBg. It's amazing. And basically the idea here is like, okay, the first thing that we need to do is remove those, the wall, basically, right? And make it transparent. And so you can do it by hand, but it takes forever. If you go into this website, this removes backgrounds using a machine learning algorithm. And so you can just, remove backgrounds faster. And so you see it's working out, and now it removed it. You see it didn't do a completely right job, like this part of the wall is still there, but the rest is more or less good. So I'm gonna download this, and I'm gonna note this size. I'm gonna remember it. It's 68285. So I'm gonna download this, and now I'm gonna switch to another free tool, which is called Photopea. You can go, it just works. And the reason why I do this is I don't wanna, it's like Photoshop, but for free in your browser. So I'm gonna click new, and now that's why I needed to remember, like, you can name your project here, and then you can go with a size. And so in this case, the size is 682. I wanna grab precisely the right sizing, 285. So the reason why I like Photopea is just it works in your browser, it's free, and does everything that you need. So now I'm gonna grab the file that I downloaded from RemoveBg, and I'm gonna drag it into Photopea. Boom. You see now it's here. Now there's a bunch of things that I need to do here. The first one is complete the background removal, and then I will need to have this as a white image without colors that just has, the stencil basically of this. And so to do that, the first thing that I want to do is I want to remove these gorgeous colors because I can't have them. So I'm going to go image here on top, adjustments, and then I'm going to go hue saturation. So this removes the color if you bring it all the way back, right? So now I don't have the colors, so it's easier. Now I want to remove the background. So the first thing I'm gonna do, I'm gonna click here on the eraser tool. I'm gonna click there, and it's gonna ask me to rasterize. So what that means is it's gonna bring this image back to one level so that I can edit it. So you can say, okay, now it's rasterized. You see that like I can delete it like this, but it's gonna take some time. So what I can also do is I'm gonna click here on the rectangle select to remove the biggest portions. So I'm just gonna select them. And then if I press Command X, or if you're on Windows Control X, you're gonna cut it, which also means remove it, right? So just gonna remove large portion of this just to make it faster. And then I'm gonna refine it with the eraser tool. You see that like now I'm just leaving huge chunks And now I'm grabbing my eraser tool, and you can zoom in just by pinching, or if you're on a Windows, Control Zoom, and then if you scroll, you're just moving around. I don't need to do like a completely perfect job here, because the graffiti is not gonna be shown at high resolution in my game. I just wanna, not have it look bulky and look natural. Also, most of this is gonna be removed if I do a good job, so I'm gonna show you later. If the size of the eraser is too big, you can click here on the top left and you can change it. So in this case, like, I'm gonna adjust it to 3 pixel because I need it to be smaller. Okay, let's see if there are other areas of the wall that I need to remove. Here, the background remover did a pretty good job in identifying the policeman, but the protester had funkier outline apparently. All right, we're good to go here. So what I can do now is I need to turn this into a 2-color image. So to do that, I'm gonna click Image, Adjustment, but now I'm gonna select Brightness and Contrast. And the reason is that I wanna bring up the outline that I wanna use. And so to do that, if I change Brightness and Contrast, you'll see that I'll be able to either turn stuff, darker or lighter, and so I can choose what's the balance of what's gonna be in my stencil or not. So I like this. I'm gonna keep this. And now I need to posterize. So posterize means this has many colors. You see that it has a lot of shades of gray. I don't need that. I just need black and white. And so I'm gonna go Image, Adjustment, Posterize. Posterize is basically bringing the colors down to a certain number. By default, it's 3. So you see that I have a white, a gray, and a black, but I just need 2. So I'm gonna change it to 2, which is the minimum. And you see that now that's the outline of my stencil. I have it. So I'm just gonna say okay. Now, we're not done, because if you see, the issue here is that this is not transparent. This is white. I would need to erase it by hand, which is very painful. Like, you don't want to do that by hand, and you don't need to. So the way to go about this is you go select, and because you want to select all the whites, so you go select color range. Now the color range is going to select based on fuzziness. I'm not really sure what that means, but if I click OK now, this is now selecting. I guess I'm gonna try to cut them out with Control X to see what happens. Yeah, so this is selected the blacks. I don't want that. I want the opposite. I want it to select the whites. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna edit, undo, so that I have my blacks back. And then I'm gonna go select inverse. And this is gonna inverse my selection so that only the whites are gonna be selected. So now I have the right selection. So now if I go Command X or Control X, I can also go edit, cut, right? It's the same command. Boom. Now I have it. So I'm just gonna deselect it so that we can take a look at it. You see, this is my black on transparent graffiti. So Substance Painter actually likes white on transparent for an alpha. So, and this is black, right? So what I need to do is I'm gonna go Image, Adjustments, and I wanna invert it. So now it's gonna be white. Boom. That's it. So now I will download this. There is still one step needed, but I'm gonna use another tool. So I'm gonna download this PNG, the default CR file. I'm just gonna click save, and boom, it's on my computer. Now I'm gonna use another tool to complete the work. The tool is called Figma. So the cool thing, it's another free tool. It's an interface designer tool, so you won't be able to like manipulate images, but it's very good to create libraries of stuff. So I really like to upload all of my textures here, to have them here, and then you can download them and organize them. And you can also, it's very good for creating UIs, so I used it to create the UI for my game, but that's another story. So right now we're talking about graffiti. So the way to go about this now, the thing that I'm missing from this download that I just did is that it's not a square image. And that kind of pisses Substance Painter off, because Substance Painter expects the alphas to be a square, and otherwise it will distort them. And I don't want this gorgeous graffiti to be distorted. And so what I'm gonna do is that was too fast, let me show you. So I'm gonna just drag and drop the file that I downloaded from Photopea into Figma. Boom. So now it's here. Now you see it's not a square, and I need to add transparency around it on the top so that it's a square. So the way to go about this in Figma is you right click and you go frame selection. What this do is it creates a frame around the image, and now you can rename it. So I'm gonna double click here on the frame name, and I'm gonna call it graffiti. Yep. So now I have it, but it's still not a square. So let's make it a square. So you see here I have my width and my 8. So I want the 8 to match the width, right? So I'm just gonna type here 682, boom. So now you see it's a square, but my graffiti stayed on top. And the reason why it stayed on top is that by default, Figma places it on the top left. And so how do I, bring it to the right place? Here I have this handy thing, so I can align it horizontally, but it's already aligned horizontally. What I'm interested in is align vertical. So if I click here, boom, it's now in the center. So if I select back the frame, you will see it's exactly in the center of a squared frame. And that's cool. So now I can keep it here in my library, and to use it, I just click export here. I'll open it up, and now it's exporting. I cannot really see this very well, but you can change it so if you want. But if I click export, boom, now I have it on my computer, and now it's ready to be imported in your Substance Painter library. So let's do that. So let's download the image I just created. As you see, I switched to my Windows machine. So now I have it here, and I'm gonna import it into my Substance Painter project. So you see here I have my building, and I'm just gonna grab this in. And this is an alpha. I'm gonna import it to my shelf because I wanna keep it. And so now I have it here in my alpha channel. So now to add that into my building texture, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna find the material of my palettes, which is this one. I'm gonna add a new layer, and this is gonna be the graffiti color. So I'm gonna change this to, I don't know, like, yeah, this looks good. And then I'm gonna add a black mask, boom. And now I'm gonna paint, and as a brush, I'm gonna use my graffiti that I just had it, right? And so now I can make it bigger. Now I'm pressing Control, and I'm scrolling to make it bigger, or you can press, press Control and then drag and drop to move it around like this. But let me see, so I'm gonna do like this, boom. This looks cool, right? And if you want to change the color of your graffiti, you can just change the color of this. So what I actually like to do is I like to layer graffitis on top of each other. And so what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna copy paste this layer, then I'm gonna remove this mask, clear it. So right click on the black square and click clear mask. So now it's cleared, and now I'm gonna change the color to say red, like this, a little bit saturated. And now I click on the black mask again, and now I can do another one, but I'm gonna change it with another one that I created. Let's see what else I got here. This big one here. just gonna download it, and now again, like I'm gonna import it into my shelf as alpha. So it's important that you select alpha here, and then when they're saying import resources too, if you select project, it's only for the project. Shelf, you're gonna find it, you know, in other projects as well, which is what I want to do. And now I have it here. So now I can just click, and you'll find it. I'm naming it Graffiti so I can find it back, and now I can just like this. It's maybe too big, so control, scroll, boom, like this, right? So now it's on top of each other like this. Yeah. Alright guys, thanks for watching. Looking forward to it. If you like this video, subscribe and check out my game. It's called Skid Cities. It's gonna be in Steam in early access in winter 2020. Bye.